Our headlines for you today. President Biden says Putin has his back to the wall and may be preparing to use chemical and biological weapons in Ukraine.
He's already used chemical weapons in the past, and we should be careful what's about to come.
All right, let's take you through the morning's front pages now. We'll start off with the Metro. Their headline, Escape from Mariupol, as they tell the story of journalists leaving the besieged Ukrainian city as Russian forces close in. Let's look at the Times. Similar story, Putin threatens civilians to break Mariupol's spirit. The Eye. Russian troops turn on protesters. That's the line that we just brought you from the city of Kherson as peaceful demonstrators were attacked by Russian troops. The Telegraph, their top story, is a picture of a yacht believed to belong to Vladimir Putin and calls for it to be seized by Italian authorities. It's in West Italy at the moment, receiving repairs and maintenance, apparently. The Guardian, they've got an exclusive revealing, as they say, $17 billion of global assets linked to Russians with alleged ties to Putin.
The war in Ukraine continues to feature prominently on many of them. The Eye paper says that Russian troops have used gunfire against protesters in the occupied city of Kherson. The paper also quotes Ukraine's defence minister saying that small cities have now been wiped off the face of the earth.
The Times reports that President Putin has threatened civilians to break the spirits of the besieged city of Mariupol. Front page also carries a picture of Nazanin Zaghari-Ratcliffe and her husband Richard after she spoke to the press for the first time since her release from detention in Iran.
The Guardian are talking about the fact there are £13 billion worth of global assets with alleged ties to President Putin. The paper says vast collections of properties, yachts, offshore accounts have been linked to 35 oligarchs alleged to be close to the Russian leader.
And the Daily Telegraph also focuses on Russian money, reporting that a £500 million super yacht allegedly owned by Mr Putin faces seizure.
Serious money for a yacht, though.
Quite a big boat. We're going to bring you right up to date now with everything that has been happening in Ukraine overnight. Harold Griffith is here in the studio with us. Morning, Harold.
Hi, Sally. Hi there, Dan. Yep, let's start with the news coming out of the United States overnight. Now, President Biden has warned that there are clear signs Vladimir Putin may be preparing to use chemical and biological weapons in Ukraine. He said false claims by Russia that Ukraine had these types of weapons suggested it was considering using both.
They're also suggesting that Ukraine has biological and chemical weapons in Ukraine. That's a clear sign he's considering using both of those. He's already used chemical weapons in the past, and we should be careful what's about to come.
Now, this footage, verified by the BBC, shows thermobaric rockets, also known as vacuum bombs, are already being launched against Ukraine. They're hugely destructive, and their use against civilians is already banned by the UN. Russia also claims to have launched hypersonic missiles, which can travel at 5 times the speed of sound for the first time in combat in western Ukraine. Now, the Ministry of Defence here in the UK says that's intended to detract from a lack of progress on the ground by Russia. The MOD says their impact is likely to be very limited and unlikely to materially affect the outcome of the Russian campaign. Meanwhile, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has repeated his call for direct talks with the Russian leader to try to bring an end to the fighting. But in an interview broadcast on Ukrainian TV, he said that such a meeting would be unlikely to lead to an agreement on security guarantees or constitutional change. He went on to say those decisions would need to be put to a referendum.
I believe that until such time as we have a meeting with the President of the Russian Federation in any format, I have repeated and offered this for a few years. I think that without this meeting, you cannot truly understand what they are prepared to do in order to stop the war, and what they are prepared to do if we're not ready for this or that compromise.
On the ground, there is no let-up to the violence, and rescue teams racing into fires and to clearing the rubble destroyed in buildings like this shopping centre in Kyiv, hit by Russian airstrikes and reduced to rubble. Now, it's been confirmed that 8 people died in that attack. The Russian Defence Ministry said rockets were being stored there. The Ukrainian government says a further 8,000 people were evacuated from different conflict zones around the country on Monday, including around 3,000 people from the besieged city of Mariupol. Ukraine is still refusing to give up that territory. And across the country, we're still hearing remarkable stories of resistance. Everyone from tennis players and actors to musicians like this lute player in Kyiv joining the territorial army to defend their nation in the face of relentless Russian assaults.